So this is a brand new Kawasaki Teryx 4. This is a base model. And in this video, I'm going to talk about why, after all of these years have gone by, these machines finally got my attention. So, said goodbye to the Yamaha Grizzly the other day. And I was thinking to myself, you know, what we really need is that we need something that has at least 2 seats, right? You know, my son's got an ATV that he's going to be riding, but it would sure be nice if the wife could go along too, you know, if we go on a camping trip. And so the idea was I was going to go up to the dealership and I was going to find something that had at least 2 seats and give that a try. And I also wanted something that I hadn't had on this channel before so that we could do some more review and do some more content with something new. So I went up to the dealership and I was looking around and I was like, you know, I've never really given these Teryx machines much attention. Maybe I should look at this thing a little bit more closely. And so I started walking around the machine and looking at it. And the more I thought about it, you know, this machine might actually be perfect for me in the way that we use a machine. Not to mention, you want to talk about value. You can't beat this thing as far as value goes. Obviously, it's a 4-seat UTV. You've got some really good tires, Fox shocks right out of the box. You know, it's a very rugged, heavy-duty built machine. Front locking differential, the whole 9 yards. You've still got a little bit of a bed on the back so you can carry a cooler or whatever the case might be. And I was able to buy this machine for $12,900. I mean, you just can't beat that with a stick. And it's got a 3-year warranty on it. So I would challenge anybody to go out there and find a brand new 4-seater UTV with a good list of specs for that kind of a price. I mean, you just can't do it. So fantastic value, just a little bit more price than an ATV. I mean, you can go look at like the Yamaha Grizzly that I just got rid of, or say a Suzuki King Quad 750, or like a Polaris 1000, some of your other big bore ATVs, and you're talking $11,000, $12,000 for something like that. So to be able to pick up an a UTV like this for under 13 grand, just a fantastic value. So I'm going to bring the camera over and we're going to talk about a few things here and tell you what I think about the Teryx. I'm actually kind of impressed. So like I said, I had never really given these machines a lot of attention before. To be honest, I've never really been a big fan of 4-seat UTVs. Most of your 4-seat UTVs that you see out in the woods, they look like a limousine going through the woods or a school bus or something. I mean, it's preposterous. They're so huge that they have terrible breakover angle and you can't navigate them through the trees and through the woods. And I mean, they just look ridiculous out there. I can't see myself trying to use something like that out in the woods. I mean, it's just ridiculous to me. So I've never really been a big fan of 4-seat UTVs. I've never really given them any attention. But the difference here is Kawasaki has taken sort of a different philosophy. And it kind of reminds me of like automakers and how they do with pickup trucks, right? So you can buy a regular cab long bed pickup truck, or you can buy a crew cab short bed pickup truck, and both of them are on the same wheelbase. You know, so it's basically just, do you want more space for people, or would you rather have more space for cargo? You know, you can have your pick and it's still built on the same wheelbase. That's kind of, you know, basically what Kawasaki's done here. They've just taken the bed and they've shortened it up a little bit and they've put a couple of seats back there. So they didn't stretch out the wheelbase and turn this thing into a limousine. You know, it's still small enough that you can navigate through the woods. You've still got a good breakover angle for rocky terrain. You know, it's still a good size for its intended purpose, but you can put 4 people in there, obviously. Being a full-grown man myself, I sat in one of these back seats, and it's actually pretty comfortable. And I'll show you that here in just a moment. But you've still got enough bed space back here that you can put a cooler back here, or maybe a little bit of firewood, or a tent, some camping gear, you know, whatever you wanted to. You could put a firearm back here if you're going hunting or something like that. You've got enough space to do a few things back here, as well as space for 4 people. You know, and a thought that crossed my mind is, you know, my wife and I might use this thing out in the woods and my son might be riding his ATV. But let's say his ATV breaks down. Well, then he can just hop in the back and we can still continue our weekend. You know, sometimes you're out on a trail system and you run into strangers who need help. You could put a couple of people back here and take them back to the campsite. So, you know, definitely it would be cool to have these 4 seats. So that's why I was like, you know, I'll go for this. I can try this thing out. Now, you've seen these machines before. They've been around for a long time, but here's the things that really impressed me about it. For the price, you get a good set of Bighorn 2.0 tires. You've got some nice Fox adjustable shocks up in here. You can see the adjustment dial right there. I haven't played around with any of that yet, but I intend to. You got a nice plate down here that you can just set a winch on, bolt it down, and you're ready to go. You don't need to buy any, you know, additional mounts to put your winch in there, which is cool. Look how big that U-joint is. I know that the camera probably doesn't do it justice, but you've got some really big heavy-duty hardware in here. Square tubing in your frame. I mean, that's the thing about Kawasaki. They overbuild stuff. You know, you're not going to have to worry about a Kawasaki machine, you know, having any kind of structural issues. You do get a nice bumper, even on the base model. One of the differences between the base model and the LE, I notice, is the headlights. You've only got a pair of headlights, whereas the nicer trim levels give you an additional set of lights down here. That's easily rectified. You do have some nice half doors that provide good protection from stuff flying up off the tires. That's going to be much appreciated. Like I said, you've got a little bit of a bed back here. 2-inch receiver hitch, which is awesome. In that very first Yamaha Grizzly video that I shot, I went on a little bit of a rant about this. Why it is that all of these machines should come with a 2-inch receiver. Thankfully, this one does, so that's cool. I think I swallowed a bug or something. my apology. Anyhow, I just wanted to show you how beefy this rear end is. You've got some really heavy-duty A-arms back here, a huge rear differential that's easy to service, you know, so pretty cool the way that they built this thing. Again, these Kawasaki machines are overbuilt, and I love it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set up the camera, and I'm going to get into this machine so that I can kind of show you how an adult fits in this thing. All right, so if I hop in here, and I'm going to bring the camera over with me here in just a moment because I want to show you the floorboards and the dead pedals and all of that. I was looking to see if this seat was adjustable, but I don't think this side is adjustable. So anyway, I'm about 6'3" or so, and you can see how much leg room that I've got here. And the cushions in these seats are extremely comfortable. There's a lot of padding in these seats. More padding than I've ever felt, probably in any UTV seat. I mean, seriously, it's very, very comfortable. But you've got a dead pedal, so to speak, on both sides. So both of your feet, if you're a passenger in this thing, can rest up against a nicely angled surface so that you can support yourself, you know, when you're going down a trail or something. So you could tell that they really thought about this. Plus, you've got a handle here for the passenger to grab onto, and there's a handle here. So not to mention you've got some shoulder support. So the shoulder support here is pretty nice because it's padded. So you've got that to hold you in, you've got handles, and you've got dead pedals here. So they thought of everything. I mean, if you're a passenger in this machine, you can definitely hold yourself stable despite the terrain. So that's pretty cool. I like how the door swings way open. So now if I sit behind myself. All right, so here I am behind myself. So here you're going to find, if you're a tall guy, that you're not going to have as much room as you would like. You can see my knee does touch. Maybe you can see that. Hopefully the door is not blocking the camera view, but my knee does touch the back of the front seat. But you know, you could always move your leg over just a little bit. You got a bar to hang on to here. You know, it's not ideal. I don't think you would want to spend all day back here. But you could ride for an hour or two, take a break, have a sandwich or a snack or something, do some more riding. It's not too bad. If you're a lady, you'll probably fit even better back here, of course. Kids would fit fine back here. and I've got tons of headroom. So, you know, even if I had a helmet on, I would still have a lot of headroom back here. This machine has what they call stadium seating, so the rear passengers are sitting up a little bit higher than the front passengers, so that you still have a view down the trail, which is nice. So, you know, like I said, Kawasaki kind of thought of everything. Let's get a close-up of this. One thing I'm not super tickled with is this accessory roof here. This is a Kawasaki OE roof that I bought to put on the machine. And you can see the huge gap there. Oh my goodness. So, I mean, it fits pretty decent back here, but, you know, and I did have all the hardware installed exactly by the directions, but that's just kind of the way it is. It also does not come over the edge of the roll bar. Some people like that because they get into some serious wooded areas where they get up against trees. And if you're up against a tree, obviously the roll bar is going to fare a little better than a plastic roof would. But I think most folks would probably prefer this roof to come on over so that you can get more rain protection. I mean, you know, obviously rain is just going to go right through that. Check the other side. It's kind of that way too. Got some pretty big gaps there. For $400, they could have done a better job on this roof, to be honest with you. Not super happy about that, but it is what it is. Over here on the driver's side, so you do have a dead pedal down there, so that's nice. I've got a good amount of knee room over here. I don't feel like that my leg is like being pinched by anything, you know? So that's good. The controls are really rudimentary in this. You've got a headlight switch over here, and then over here, you've got your four-wheel drive switch. So you can see that I can get this thing to zoom. There we go. You can see there's a two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, and a lock setting. The lock setting obviously locks the front differential. The gauge is in this, exactly the same as the Mule MX Pro that I had at the end of last year. My complaint with this is that there's just not much information in here. You know, you do have a fuel gauge, speedometer, and you can see if you're in two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. You've got a clock down here and an odometer. But if you cycle through here, you've got trip A, trip B, your hours, and your odometer. That's all you've got. There's no information on here about what the coolant temperature is, you know, or any of that stuff. I went on a rant about this also. You know, for the kind of money they're getting for these machines nowadays, you need more information in these displays. I would like to know, what is the coolant temperature so that I can, you know, I want to avoid overheating. I don't want to know when it's overheated. I want to know how close I'm getting to overheating. You know, give me some information in here. Anyway, you've got some warning lights, but you don't have any information. You've got a 12 volt here, and it's just a standard 12 volt. It's not USB, unfortunately, but you can get adapters to plug in there. There is no locking glove box like you have on the Mule MX. That's a shame, but it does have a nice gasket, so it keeps the weather out pretty good. And then down here, you've got your shifter, low, high, neutral, reverse, and your park brake right there. So pretty rudimentary, pretty simple. It's got the stuff you need, nothing you don't. I'm telling you, man, the seats in this thing are super comfortable. It's like the first thing that my wife commented on. So I think as far as accessories go, first thing I'm going to do is put a rear view mirror up here. Man, if you don't have any kind of mirrors on a machine like this, you really miss it when you're going down the trail. I like to know what's going on behind me. As far as visibility goes, you got pretty good visibility back here in this machine. You know, some UTVs, you can't see anything out the back of them. It's not really so much of a problem with this. It's got good visibility. I like it. And you can see that the cup holders are really small, but they will fit your standard issue bottle of Mountain Dew or whatever it is you like to drink. You could put a water bottle in here. A 12-ounce can will fit in here. But I don't think that you could put those standard issue insulated cups that everybody's buying these days, you know, like your Yeti cups and so on and so forth. You're not going to be able to fit something like that down in there probably, unless it has a very small base on the bottom of it. But you can get, you know, like I said, a can or a bottle of soda in there. So that's pretty good. If you want to check the oil, what you have to do, there's a lever right underneath here, and the seat just very easily moves out of the way. And then you have a rubber flap right here. Now there's a couple of plastic push pins at the bottom, but the top just kind of stretches over these hooks. So I have found that you can grab it and very gently just pull it up over these hooks, and that way you don't have to fool with those plastic pins. And anyway, if you do that, right back here behind this is where you can check your oil level. So pretty nice that they made that somewhat simple. While we're over here, you can see that double X that they talk about. You know, they advertise this double X frame and the way that it's welded together. And you can see that, I mean, this is, you know, square tubing, really, really nice welds in there. And this thing is just, like I said, it's just overbuilt. It's really, really heavy duty. And so the advantage of something like that, of this heavy duty construction, you know, obviously you're going to have these things off camber and twisting them up on the trail and everything. Over time, that can fatigue your joints, you know, and so you can start having, you know, roll bar issues or frame issues where some of your joints will actually break free. You know, and so the more rigid you can build the thing, the less opportunity there is for something like that to happen as the years go by. So again, I'm just really happy with how heavy duty they build these. It's one less thing to worry about. So on the base model, you're going to get some 26 by 11 by 12 tires in the back and a slightly narrower version, but still on a 12-inch wheel in the front. And obviously these are the Maxxis Bighorn 2.0s. I've never had these tires myself before, but a lot of the guys that I ride with have had them, and they seem to perform really well on the kinds of trails that we have here in the eastern US. So I'm glad to see that this one has these tires on it. I don't feel any need to change the tires at all. And when these are worn out one day, maybe I'll put a 27 on it, but maybe not. And I'll talk about that here in just a moment. You do get like a just regular old wheel. I mean, this is a base model. You're going to get a regular old steel wheel. Now, you know that I don't care about that, because beating and banging through the woods, these things always get scratched up and beat up. You get up against rocks, tree roots, all that, you're going to tear the wheels up. There's no sense in putting a fancy wheel on an off-road machine, in my opinion. It's just a waste of money. Something like this, you can straighten it back out with a hammer, spray paint it black, and you're good to go. All right, so just a minute ago, I mentioned that when these tires wear out one day down the road, I might put 27s on it and I might not. The reason why is I bought an enclosed trailer last year to haul my toys in and to turn into a little bit of a primitive camper. And the thing about these Teryx machines is, with the stadium seating, you can see it's a pretty tall machine. It's listed at 80 inches, and that's in stock configuration. Now, my trailer down there, I ordered it with a 7-foot roof, interior roof, so that's 84 inches, obviously. But at the rear ramp door, you lose a few inches. So when I put the tape measure on that, I think I was getting like 81 inches of maximum height at the rear door, which means that I think this machine is just barely going to fit in my trailer. I haven't tried it yet. I'm a little nervous. I think it's going to be okay, but I think it's going to be real close. So if you're planning on hauling your toys in an enclosed trailer, take good measurements and make sure that it's going to fit first, because these things are pretty tall. So all in all, my initial impressions on this machine are really good. This machine's been around for a long, long time. It's not going to be class leading in any specs, right? It doesn't have the most suspension travel that you can get. It doesn't have huge 30-inch tires on it like a lot of the new stuff that's out there. It's certainly not the fastest UTV that you can buy. It's an 800 class V-twin. A lot of the stuff coming out these days is 1000 class. Some of the stuff has turbo, you know, or maybe even supercharging forced induction on it to get even more power out of them. So this thing's not going to be a really fast UTV compared to some of the new things coming out. You know, I mean, it's an old machine that's been around for a long time. It was updated several years ago with some, you know, updates to the dash and so forth and so on. But basically, it's an old machine. Having said that, I think it has a lot of pluses. I mean, the value is there. It's half the price of some of the other machines that I was just talking about. It's built really rugged. It's got an excellent warranty. You do have some good shocks, even though it doesn't have a ton of travel. You've got some good shocks here that you can blast through the woods. You can rock crawl, you can sling mud, you can have a good time with your family with a good plush ride. You've got enough travel there to do that. Like I said, it's got good tires on it. It's got comfortable seating in it. You know, so I mean, it's got the stuff that you need for a good price to go out in the woods and have a good time with your family. Personally, I see myself having just as much fun with this as I would a $30,000 high performance, you know, sand dune bashing buggy. You know, and we actually had a really high performance buggy a few years ago on this channel. But, you know, I think that we're going to have a good time with this. I think it's going to be great for us to go out and, you know, ride some trails, hang out at the campsite. It'll take us where we need to go. It'll do what we need to do. And, you know, I don't feel like that I broke the bank to, you know, bring something like this home. So I overlooked these for a long, long time, and I kind of wish I hadn't. But, you know, here we are. I think that if you're looking for a UTV to go out and have fun with, especially if it's, let's say, your first UTV, you want to get into the hobby and go out and have some fun with your family, I think this one would be a great one to take a look at. You know, I really do. Apparently my dog sees a deer or something over here. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you watching. This one's probably going to be around for a while, so we'll have some good content coming up soon. We'll see you later.